here with Done by Dorothy, and today we're working on our cover. We're working on our binding of our Mira Nature journal. So we're going to get that. Again, links to everything is in the description box below. There is a playlist that I'll link at the end of the video, that you can click on that, the little box that pops up, and it'll take you to the playlist with all the videos, and there is a ton of them in there. This journal from the very first to talking about coffee dyeing your papers and doilies and things like that, all the way through the finish. It'll all be there. This will be the last video before the actual final flip through, so I'm really getting excited about that. So I'm going to set my cover aside for just a minute, and we're going to talk about templates. This is actually a 9-inch tall, but I do have, my little hanger here for my little dangle, so I have that in the way. So I'm going to drop down 1 inch off the top and 1 inch off the bottom. So I'm going to, for my little template, I'm going to make it 7 inches. So this is 7 inches by 3 inches. This is just the back. Actually, I can tell you exactly what this is. This is the back packet that, the cardboard that comes in, like the packs of doilies you buy from the Dollar Tree. They're great for templates, I found. So, okay. So I need to, let me find my pencil. Here it is. And let's see, I've got my pencil. Let me reach up here. Let me grab my permanent marker, or well, at least my Sharpie pen that I can use. Okay, so I know that I need to mark this. I need 4 sections. And you're going to say, but you only have 3 signatures. Yes, but let me grab a piece of paper here so I can show you. And I just need a scrap piece. Sorry about that. So I'm just grabbing a scrap here. Let me tear it off. Okay. So say this is our journal spine. We know we have 3 signatures. So if we have 1 signature, 2 signatures, 3 signatures, right? 1, 2, 3. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So a lot of times when people are trying to calculate the distance on their spine, and they struggle with trying to figure out exactly how to, get it even or whatever, all you're simply going to have to do with, if you have 3 signatures, okay, and you have a 3-inch spine, so we know this is 3 inches, okay, we know we need 1, 2, 3, 4 even spaces, so we're just going to divide 3 by 4. That's going to give you 0.75 or 3/4 inch. So we know we need 3/4 inch between each signature. Normally, a lot of times we do 1/4 inch, and I could do 1/4 inch between each one, but that's going to give us either a huge gap on each side or a really thin cover and a really large alligator mouth. I want this to sort of be more like ledger style, so it's more flat and it doesn't have that alligator mouth. I want a lot of room to be able to stuff in it later. So, we're allowing 3/4 on each side. So you figure that's 1.75 or not, almost 2 inches. And, if I hold this just very nicely, you're going to see that that signature is roughly really close to, 1 3/4 to 2 inches. So we're still going to get a little bit of width on our cover, but it's not going to be huge. We will have gaps between, but we are going to take care of that. So we need 3/4 inch. So I love using, if you have a Tim Holtz, the clear rulers, that's great. I actually enjoy using my quilting rulers. I love to quilt, and I used to quilt a lot, and sew a lot and things like that. So I was always using my rulers. I don't do that so much anymore because junk journaling sort of took over my life. So this gives me a reason to use my rulers that I bought. Okay, so I'm just going to go in every 3/4 inch. And these Clearview rulers are really nice. This is a Fiskars. You can buy it at Walmart. I don't think I even paid a whole lot for it. And they're great for doing this because you can literally see your line right through there and just draw it in. So I know exactly. There's my 4 spaces. Okay, so I have 7 inches here. I want to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I know right off I'm going to have to split it here. My center is going to be at 3.5. So I'm actually using, this is a cutting mat and it actually has measurements on it, so it makes it a little easier. Or, you know, you can use a regular ruler and measure off. So there's my 3.5. Okay, so I know I've got my center. I know I'm going to have the 1 inch on each end. So my, you know, I'm not going to be sewed straight up to the top. I do want to make sure that I move this down a little bit because I actually want to use a grommet. So I'm actually going to take my 3/4 inch that I did on the inside, and I'm just going to come down 3/4 inch on each end of this. So it won't quite be 2 inches from the top. It'll be roughly 1.25 inches, or 1 3/4 inches, sorry, from the top. Okay, so I know, and I did that one crooked. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing instead of talking. Oh, one thing about mechanical pencils is, okay, now I am going to use my crocodile. It's an 1/8 inch. I have a handheld 1/8 inch, but again, you know, it really sort of gives me trouble with my hands. So I'm going to use this, and what I'm going to do, and here's why I like having a black Sharpie. I'm just going to draw a dot. You know what? Let me grab my other one because it's a bigger tip. Let me get my big 1 inch one, or 1.0 one. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to draw a dot where the lines connect, because then I know that's where I need to poke my holes. And again, this may be repeat for a lot of you guys. If you've done it before, I apologize. You know, just skip. Okay, so we've got that. So then I'm going to take my crocodile, have it set on my 1/8 inch. I'm just going to line it up where that hole is in the center. And I'm just going to punch all of those holes. And if you have a line, it makes it sort of easy with the crocodile, because on the actual, let me see if you can see from the side, the cutting blade, see how it almost has like a little V in it? It makes it really easy to sort of line that up. And I know a lot of people are going, oh my gosh, that's a really big hole to put in your spine. I'm going to use grommets, so that will minimize the hole somewhat. And this just helps sort of keep everything lined up all nice and neat. And I think it just, you know, when you use the little grommets on the outside, it just sort of adds a little bit to it. You know, you don't have that just poked holes randomly there. Although, I mean, you can do that. And I mean, I've done that on most of my other ones. I have a few personal journals that I've, you know, put the grommets on, but I just thought I would do it. It would be something different for this one. I know people like seeing different things. Okay, so let me get all my little holes out that I punched out of here, out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, we've got that. Now, this, again, is another piece of that. And I'm going to take my ruler. This is 3 inches, so I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 3.5. I'm going to take it. I'm actually going to, isn't this, yeah, it's 3. I don't know why I thought, it just looks sort of oddly, not quite so centered, but I think it's because of where this has the black print. It sort of creates a... And I'm just going to sort of crease this up a little bit. Nothing perfect. And I just divided that in half at 1.5 because this is going to be the center. Yeah, this is a little bit off. I thought it was. It looked a little off. But it doesn't make a difference because we just need a center line that's even. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my marker again. Let me get my pencil here. I'm going to mark. What I'm going to do is use my ruler as a guide. I'm just going to put it up here because I know I have an inch off each end of mine. So I'm going to slide that up there. Right. And I can use this. I don't even have to use my pencil. I'm just going to go in here and make sure this is lined up. And I'm going to mark the 3 center holes because that's going to be where I'm going to put my stitches. And if it's a little off the center, which it is, because, you know, that's what I do. I just need to know that they're the same distance apart. So I know that my hole needs to go there. So I'm going to just scoot this over a little bit. I want to make sure that they're lined up. So let me match my, well, okay. Let me match this up again. Sort of center my hole in there. There we go. And then I know I'll have it on my, it'll be on my line. There we go. Now it's on my center line. So just don't pay attention to that line over here. It happens. That's just the way it works. So have that. So then I'm going to go, and I'm not going to punch this out because I'm going to use my awl when I get ready to do my signatures, and I'll just punch through there. And as long as I know I'm, you know, in the center of that, then I know I'm coming through. I mean, technically I could punch each of those out. There's just not a reason to because I have to turn around and put the awl through it. So works for me. Okay. So I'm just sort of scoping up here to see, just to verify everything looks to where I want it to be. Make sure it's all lined up even because I don't want, under any circumstance, I do not want my holes to be crooked, so I always double check. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. So I'm going to line this up. Now I know that I am exactly an inch from each end, so I'm going to use my ruler, line up my bottom down here. And I know you guys are probably going, this is really tedious. Why in the world is she doing this? This is just my method. I'm a measurer. I don't like to just throw it on there. Okay, and then I'm just going to go and just dot in the center. So I know that and you want to make sure you have really good lighting when you do this, because if you don't, I just have my dark holes there. Okay, now I could do this either way. I could flip it out. You know, I could have done it on the inside. I like doing it on the outside and stamping or punching in, because where the, I mean, just like on this, you know, you do get like little sort of, you know, gooby edges. I want that on the inside, not on the outside of my journal. So now we just, let me slide my, now I know that I want this 1 inch, so technically I could have left it at 1 inch and done it, but I'm actually gonna slide this out of the way because I have my holes already marked. So, and I'm just going to center up my holes. And there's always the chance when you do this that it may go a little crooked. That's just life, and if it does, it's fine. I'm gonna clean my little with my puppy tool. Sometimes the little pieces compact up there in that little cutter, just because I'm going through really heavy, my heavy tip board, because this is heavyweight. Because I wanted a really nice sturdy back. So I mean, like, when you're making this, if you do not have chipboard, you can use like cereal box when you're cutting, you know, your spine and all that out to cover like we did yesterday. If you use cereal box, I meant to say this yesterday and I spaced it, I try to glue 2 layers together just to sort of create, you know, a heavier, again, I gotta get that over there, just to create a heavier base. If you want a heavier, sturdier book. The heavier it is, the less warping that you'll get, especially if you're using like Mod Podge to adhere napkins or, you know, something like that to it. Okay, and I'm going to flip this over here. And again, if you don't have a big bite, you can do this with a handheld. If you do not have that and you just have an awl, then you can poke holes with an awl. This is just something I decided I wanted to do because I wanted to have sort of a more professional look. Only because it has that appearance of a ledger, so I want it to look, you know. So let me get that out of the way. Okay, so I have that. So now I need to place my grommets. And I have grommets that match my, and let's see, I'm going to need 9 grommets. These are 1/8" grommets. The Big Bite does 1/8" and hold on, and 3/16, so almost 1/4 inch. 1, 2, 3. That's a different color one. Have to keep checking these because some of them are off colored. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know, I've had these for quite a while, and they just don't tend to get used because they're so small. I got them back when I was scrapbooking, and was not a fan of grommet pliers. But I find with the crocodile, I'm gonna get a drink of water real fast, but with the crocodile grommet, using grommets is so much easier than what it was. Okay, so I need to move this up to my grommet setting, and then let's see, you have these little things you can flip. I need to have this on the gold, and I need to have it on the 3/4 inch, which is B. So I am actually set on, hold on, I'm on 3, I'm on C3 is the settings if you have a Big Bite that I'm using with the 1/8" grommet. Okay, so here we go, and this will be sort of tedious for a minute, you guys, I'm sorry. But as you can see, oh, I'm gonna poke you through there because I don't know if you can really see through the holes there. You know, it lined up, so give it a really nice look. And again, normally I do my dangles a lot longer because I wanted to do grommets down through here. I didn't want to make my dangles so big because I sort of wanted, you know, I mean, if you go to the extra work to do that so it looks nice, you sort of want that to show, you know. Okay, so I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to line it up with my, and then I'm just going to push. And hopefully, and you'll see that did really nice. And came through on the back side really nice. So we will work through each one of these. And again, I'm just gonna go ahead and put try to assembly line it down through there and speed things up. I know you guys don't want to sit and watch me punch grommets all night. And see, those go in really easy. I mean, and if I was doing this with the hand pliers, I would still be working on the first one, you guys. I really wish, I think I got an off-colored one there. Let me see. Yep, that's a silver tone. I need a brass tone. If I was doing this by hand, I would still be working on the very first one because I have that much trouble trying to squeeze things like that. It just does not work well. And I know, you know, I drilled my line up here for when I held my tooth in there. I'm going to go in and make sure I erase that. While I remember, I'm just going to sort of ink across it in case it faded any. So looks good. Okay, let's get this second line done. And we will have these done in just a flash. I know as we get older, at least to me, you know, you do have trouble doing some things like this. And, you know, I'm sort of glad that the crocodile came out because it has been a game changer for me as far as grommets and things like that. I know in one of the chats we were talking about doing a steampunk style, and I want to do a corset spine. And because, I mean, you know, hello, steampunk corsets, it just sort of goes hand in hand. There is no way I would ever think to attempt to do a corset spine if I was doing it by hand. And, you know, the crocodile just sort of, I mean, seriously, you guys, I just put, and I could have never done that before. I mean, if you are one of those people that use the hand ones, you know, it's hard. I just don't have the strength in my hands anymore. I guess too many years of all of those. So there we go. All 9 are in. All 9 grommets come through the back. Nice, guys, nice. Okay. And I did notice last night that, I don't know if it was just an error in the paper when I did it, that there was an issue, and I tried to go through and sort of ink that. But there's like a little tear there, so I do know when we get ready to do our cover, I made a little frog stamp to put across the bottom just to cover that little error. But I think that's all that I'm going to do on the front, and then we'll put the corners on, and I'm going to leave it at that. I just don't, and I don't know. We'll play with that when we get there. But, okay, so there's the grommets. Okay, so we're going to set this to the side. And I'm going to pull out my big book. If you have a phone book, that's fine. A lot of times I do this without even using anything. I'm going to find just a Dudley old. I like finding pages where it's just words, or pages, you know, where I wouldn't never reuse anything. But this book is just full of things. I had another book that I was using. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Oh no, I don't use that. That's the Bible. Ah! My parents would kill me. No, they really wouldn't kill me, but they would sure want to know what in the world was going on in my head. Oh, here it is. Oh, I'm sorry, my lighting is moving for just a second, guys. Okay. I have this old Civil War book that I use because there's a lot of, I've used it for the journal I did, but there's a lot of pages that is just where there's not a whole lot of pictures. Some of them are really nice in here. Okay, we'll do this right here, right where this ripped part is. So let me push this to the side really fast. I don't want those. Those are the little ones. Let me get my medium size. Got everything bouncing it. Oh no, these are my small ones too, guys. Well, I'll just use my big paper clips. There's my. There's some you can use binder clips. I actually find sort of the paper clips hold it a little better. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm still playing with the winter buzz with my throat. I'm going to pull a bunch of them out and do all 3 of them while we're doing them. Just makes it easier that way. Okay. So, let's pull out our signatures. I'm going to set this to the side really fast. Believe it or not, there's a method to my madness. Okay, so let's open this up. Okay, so we're going to make sure that everything is lined up. I sort of go through and re-burnish everything because, you know, it's been all gooby and pulled apart and, you know, stuff added to it. So I sort of try to re-burnish it down. And that's just something I do because I think it helps, but it may not help. It's just something I do. And it gives me a chance to sort of recheck, you know, make sure nothing's falling apart or there's not issues with anything. This journal has just come along and I think it's so pretty, guys. I know there's not a lot of lace and things in it. And some people are probably like going, oh no, why didn't you put more lace in it? It would have been so... I wanted this to have more of a natural feel, and not that lace isn't natural, I'm not saying that. So all you people that do nature journals covered with lace, I love them, so don't think that. I just wanted this to have more of like an earth tone. You know, and with the age that these images, you know, were from the 1600s. So, you know, I really wanted that wholesome feel. Not that having lace doesn't make it wholesome. So before I, you know, get the entourage of comments from people, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Okay. So, you make sure I line it up. And I'm going to pin, and it may not be... I'm going to try to make sure all of the very first one always slides around for whatever reason. Okay, I am going to move this out. And again, remember we have not done this one because we wanted our strings to be inside, encased within the envelope. You guys are probably going, oh, she's putting way too many paper clips on there. There's no way I would do that. It's just me. You know, maybe you'd put more on. You know, people do things differently. And just sort of look through there and make sure things are lined up between each page, because I want to make sure You know, my little in-between pages aren't all helter-skelter. Oh, looks good. I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to pull out the next one. And I'm going to do the same thing to the next one. There's our little snail. He's so cute. Some of these images just were darling. And I just like double checking and making sure that everything is lined up. You know, if I want something closer to the bottom or if I want it closer to the top. So we're like moving them around so not all your pages are, and that helps with bulk too. If you have like some pages closer to the top and some closer to the bottom, you're not all bulked up in one spot, and that helps a lot. That'll actually, you know, some people may not think of that, and that really does, you know, make a difference. I'm going to try to make sure I hold that to the side because obviously I don't want that stuck in my spine. I want it over here. Okay. And I'll put some things in the middle, and that's gonna make a big difference when you move things around. And I'm gonna move out. I have my envelope in the center. Okay. You know, and it may not be perfect, and you know, that's sort of the beauty of creating things, is each person's is individually going to be different. I know sometimes we get so caught up in, well, I want mine to look like this, or I want mine to look like hers, or I wish I could make it just like hers, and sometimes it's nice just to make it like you. And you'll feel comfortable enough that, you know, yeah, maybe mine's different. You know, don't get me wrong. I am in awe of, you know, the Tracy Foxes and the Artie Mazes and the Donna Phillips. And throw her in there too. She's so precise. It just kills me because I'm just so not that. And Yvonne Preston, and I mean, there's Shabby Dabby Doodah. I mean, there's a ton. Geek Her. I mean, there's just a ton of Natasha at Treasured Books. I mean, there's just a ton of, you know, big names, if you want to say that, out there. You know, and I know some little crafters that, I don't want to say little, I mean like people that have smaller groups, you know, that I am just as awed by, you know, and I go, oh my gosh, I so wish I could do that like her, you know. And you know, I think we all think that, but at the same time it's sort of nice to have something that looks like you. So, and I didn't mean to ramble about that, and if I didn't mention somebody, don't think that I think less of you because I didn't mention your name. I was trying to go through the list of names that I could remember off the top of my head. So going through, this one was folded really well, so I'm just sort of double checking. See, that one was way a little too far down from me. But yeah, there's a ton of people out there. I mean, like that. Yeah, their journals are just magnificent. And I wish I could remember everybody's names. I was trying to remember And I'm sure I didn't remember people that I watch every day. Because, you know, this one was already pretty flat. And this one we're going to go this way. Just because I like doing it different. Not everything's the same. And we'll do, since we did this one the opposite direction. I don't know which cover this is, but we'll do this. Oh, well, hopefully this is the center. Hold the envelope down, and then I can get up and sort of straighten. No, this is the front one. It's okay. And you guys are probably sitting here going, seriously, how long is she going to take to do this? As long as it takes to make sure it's where I want it to be. Okay. And, you know, when I first started junk journaling, and I'll just tell myself because, you know, that's what I do. When I first started junk journaling, I was like, you know, I don't think I would have to do that. I think I could just hold that in place, and I could just throw that on there, and yeah, I can. But after having to unsew multiple times, several times, I went, you know, it would probably be easier to just take the time, because it's a whole lot easier to sit here and take the time to do this than to unsew a signature, you know, and especially, you know, when you're using like coffee dyed paper, stuff like that, because, you know, every time you put that needle in there, you're making that hole bigger, and every time you make that hole bigger, you're making technically the spine of your signature weaker. So, okay, so I need to make sure, you know what, I'm gonna come over here and slide this up here, and I'm just gonna slide this paper clip in here to sort of hold that. The other ones didn't seem like they flipped so much that way, but I want to make sure that, yeah, I guess they all did. Let me grab let me do that real fast. Well, that one there's not. You know what? There they are. Tell you, those big paper clips come in handy all the time. And then let me hold this one. Just grab another one of those, save myself some time. Okay, so there we go. We have all those done. Let me put the inserts over here to the side. Okay. So, hopefully all of that was in frame. I'm going to pull my big book back. I'm going to lift my signatures up. Lift them up and put them over here to the side for a minute. I guess we'll just start with this one since it's left. I'm just going to put it into the spine here. And that's one thing, is it does help hold that in that V shape, so you're not stressing your... So... And then I just take my paper clip, slide it over there, grab the one over here. Should I get around the signature, slide it in there. There we go. Then I go through with my bone folder and just sort of make sure I press that so it's firmly. That's just something I do. And sometimes I hold these, I don't put them in a book. If you're new, I suggest using a book because you can stab yourself and hurt yourself really bad. So, okay, I'm going to put my awl. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see that. I'm going to put my awl into the middle of that hole right there. And I'm just going to push down. And you can sort of pull your signature, and you'll know when you hit the spine of the book and your signature pulls up. Okay, I'm going to try to zoom this in a little closer, so hang on. Hopefully you can see that a little better. I'm going to put my awl right against the hole. Then I want to make sure I pull it straight up, vertical. I don't want it laid this way because that's going to shoot sideways. I want it straight up and down. And then just push. And it takes a little bit of pressure, but not a lot, depending on how thick your signatures are. And again, I'm going to push. And you'll see we have all three right lined up in the spine. Okay, so I'll pull my little template out. I'm going to leave my paper clips on there after I sew it in. I'm going to set that to the side and grab the next one. So here we go again. Just slide this right under here. Try to get this lined up with the center of my spine. Okay. I'm going to put that down in my spine. Again, this is optional. I always take my bone folder because it does have that sort of tip in there without moving everything around anyway. And just sort of slide it through there, making sure I tuck everything sort of down in there so it's in a curve, and hopefully you can see that. And again, I'm going to put my push through, and you'll feel it that moment that it goes through. And again, so you'll see once you get it set up for the first one, it doesn't take near as long. And again, you see it comes right along the fold line. And the book really does help, you know, support you to do that. I'm actually going to slide this up a bit so it doesn't get caught up in the mayhem. That. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys can see that because I've got you zoomed up so you can see when I actually do the awl. So I'm just moving my paper clips around. Just move this one here over here to this side. Okay. Put it there where it'll hold. We're going to put it down in our spine, and again I'm going to use my bone folder, sort of press that down into the spine. And again, that's just weirdness that I do. And you'll find if you hold straight up and down and push, it goes a lot easier than if you angle. If you do it at an angle, it's going to be a lot harder. Pull it up, and again, boom, boom, boom. And if it's a little off, don't stress. It works. We have all done a whole looping crooked. Okay, so that is done. That is out of the way. So I use a needle. I try to use one that has sort of a pointy tip. I know people use different kinds, and this is actually waxed cotton thread. It's actually been done in beeswax. And I just sort of cut off a piece. I use this for all kinds of stuff, so if I have scraps left, I'll use it for that. You can measure. Usually, you should be able to, but maybe about 2.5 times. You know, so I probably can get 2 out of this, so we'll see. Okay. So we are ready to sew in. Now, I can pull this out of the way and take this out of the way too, because that's going to hold that. Okay, I need to make sure as I'm getting ready to sew in that I want to make sure that I have, because I have my tabs in an order. If you hadn't put your tabs on yet, you could just throw any of them in however you wanted. I did put my tabs in an order because you remember we wanted to make them sort of where they... So, okay, I need to go right like this. So I'm going to flip this way. This is going to be, yes. So I'm going to start with my back and work forward. That's just sort of how I do. And you'll be able to see your holes from the center. Okay, so I want to make sure the ends, let me make sure, I'm trying to make sure I got you up here where you can see where I'm going to be sewing. So let me